Hello, everyone. Welcome on to Branded, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand to give you the clarity and confidence to challenge the status quo and show the fuck up in your own life. Inside of this podcast, you're going to learn how to pair intuition with strategy, feeling with tactic, and trust with action. I'm your host, Sarah Glenn, and today we are talking with Mikayla Brunson. I'm so pumped to be talking to you. You guys, if you have not come across her socials yet, you got to jump over there. She's gorgeous woman inside and out. Mikayla, thank you for being here.
I'm so excited, so honored to be here. I love the rebrand, what it stands for. We have similar values, so I'm just so excited to be on here and share whatever value I have to your community.
Oh, you have so much. You have so much good stuff. And all right, you guys. So Mikayla, this is actually a little different than the average interview that we do, simply because Mikayla is a luxury travel and lifestyle consultant. We don't talk to a lot of you. And I am loving this. The conversation is going to be good. I love travel. But through her brand, Simply Timeless Journey, she empowers soul-led female trailblazers to embody their authentic evolution by embracing the world's most unique and extraordinary experiences. And I can say firsthand from seeing photos from a vacation she planned for someone I know, she knows what the fuck's going on. So thanks for being here, and just kick us off a little bit with what your entrepreneurial journey has looked like. Like, what led you to becoming the travel and lifestyle consultant that you are today?
Ooh, what a journey. So I like to start off with my background. It was in retail management. So I was like that good girl. I always did the right things, went to college, graduated with the honors, graduated magna cum laude, and I got my job, started my career in retail. I was very successful. I grew quickly. I ended up leading teams to over 100 employees. I would be sent to the red stores, which were the ones who were underperforming, turn them into green stores. I did a lot of store openings and support and just getting stores off the ground. But I was very in my masculine. Hustle, hustle, hustle. The more I grew, I noticed the more hours I was putting in. I was coming home and I was tired. Even though, again, it felt successful because I did the right things, went to school, got the career, did what I needed to do. I was very driven. I was an overachiever. And then, so fast forward, and we're going to fast forward through my career, but rewind 2 years ago from today, my partner got an opportunity, a job opportunity. It was in Florida. Now, I was born and raised in New England. As soon as he told me, I remember the day like yesterday. It was a Friday. I had just gotten home from work, and he tells me I got this job opportunity, but it's in Florida. I said, let's go. No hesitation. I said, I just trusted. I'm like, we're moving to Florida. I went to that Monday. I put in my 2 weeks, really 3 weeks they gave us. And something I just want to elaborate on right there is I didn't get in my head. A lot of people be like, we got to move in 3 weeks. No way. What? I can't just pick up and go. But I just trusted. It was just feeling this instinct. I knew it was meant to be. And I didn't let the self-sabotage. I didn't let anything get in my head. I was like, okay, I took it one step at a time. We obviously got to find an apartment. We got to pack. We got to find the mover. So one step at a time, I feel like is very important in life, especially in entrepreneurship. We could elaborate on that a little later too. So we did it 3 weeks. We moved and started applying for jobs, of course, in retail, getting offers left and right. But something was telling me, like, Mikayla, there's something better. I didn't know what. At the time, I had no idea what was going on. Now I'd say it was my calling, and I answered it. I was like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do for work. I'm declining all the offers. And I just felt so happy. Like, I'd go outside for walks and I'm just smiling. I felt like I was walking on air, like the grass is greener. Like, I was just in pure happiness, which is not really something I felt before that from internally. It was a happiness always came outside.
Yeah.
And I started seeing double rainbows. I'm seeing all the angel numbers. I'm like, something's happening. I don't know what, but it feels good. I just kept trusting the feeling. And then I started diving a lot internally. I started meditating. I started journaling. I went to YouTube a lot, started looking at videos and personal development. Next thing I know, I saw this opportunity to become a travel agent. And I was like, that sounds fun. Like, never did this before, but I'm a very visual person too. So like when I saw the opportunity, literally like I saw a whole new world. I saw
Ooh,
that it could bring. I saw the impact that I could do. Because again, I was working on myself internally. So I started asking myself questions like, what impact do I want to create? What are my values? And I started getting more clarity, right? Asking the right questions, you get the answers you seek. So I went all in. And at first, starting off, I did not realize there's different types of agencies you could help join to get your feet off the ground. So I joined, it was an MLM travel agency. A lot of people would look down on that. They're like, oh, you joined an MLM? But I didn't know at the time. I just saw the opportunity. I took it.
yeah.
I trusted
Yep,
it.
I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere, and you're going to learn. Like,
Hmm.
if you're in a space to learn and to soak it all up, it really doesn't matter where you start.
Exactly. And so yeah, I'm doing it. I'm learning. There's a lot of successful people. When I say success, like there were stories. One girl, like one of the mentors in the program, she had come from abuse. She was very codependent, and now she completely transformed her life. Like she was living on her own. She was supporting her daughter. She was buying a house. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to her because she went from
Yeah.
that to that. That's what I'm trying to do. Like I want that success. So I started listening and I noticed like their marketing tactics. It didn't feel aligned to me, but I was like, well, she's doing it. So I might as well try it too. I just want to say you definitely learn from trial and error. I gained a lot of clarity of the type of way I wanted to market, even though it wasn't for me. I still went and I did it and I learned what I didn't want to do. I started attracting like cheap clients. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do like budget trips. Like I started working on like who I wanted to work with, like that dream client avatar. I got clear on that. I started like doing a whole business plan again, like that vision started building. So like as I was learning the travel industry and the trade, I was getting a lot of clarity of what I wanted my business to be. And then few months later, by the way, I was so scared to like plan a trip for someone that wasn't friends or family. I remember like
Mm,
after like a 30-day training, and they're like, "Oh, put it out there on social media." Which, by the way, I was like, I'm like one of those rare millennials that did not have social media, so I had to create a whole Facebook, get online. I didn't even know how to sell online, what to do, reach out to people. That to me was weird. It was so uncomfortable. It felt like very salesy. Um,
yeah.
well, as the months went by, and I started getting that clarity and that vision, I came around luxury travel and agencies that were a part of that. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to create an experience. I want them to be extraordinary. You know, like those influencers, social media has changed the game into like what the world has to offer. I was like, I
Yeah.
want to create those experiences for people. So I got into a luxury travel agency, left the MLM. And I'm like, oh, I still gotta, where do I get luxury clients from? I was like, they didn't teach me at the other agency.
Yeah.
And just the whole online was new, the whole entrepreneurship was new. So that's when I hired a business mentor. And I kid you not, within 3 days, and I'm a really good student, I listen, I go, and I take action. 3 days of implementing what she told me, and she definitely shifted. It was like 1 hour with her. She helped me shift from the salesy. Remember, she was like, "You got to go in and start talking to people. Authenticity, create relationships." And I'm like, "You want me to go in someone's DM that I don't know and talk to them?" That for me was so unfamiliar.
Right. You're like, no, thanks.
I was like, "That is so weird." I was like, "You know what? I trust you. I'm gonna do it." So yeah, within 3 days, I did it, and it's not about the strategies, it's who I was. It was the intention behind it. I started
Yeah.
friending people that I really felt connected with, that share the same values. You can say I kind of like Facebook stalked them. I went through my feed. I'm like, oh, I love the lifestyle they created. They have affluence. They have an influence. They're living their best life. Like that's the people I want to work with. That's who I want to serve. So I started connecting with them. And she helped me with the sales. She helped me get over that mentality and the mindset. And she helped me like kind of like craft like my way of how I'd speak to people. And
Yeah.
so I sent the message and it really was about that person. I sent a genuine message. It wasn't sound generic, like, hey, how long have you been doing the work for? Like, no.
Yeah.
I was very detailed. And I commented on a post she had did. Next thing you know, she asked me what she did. So it was message number 2. message number 3, I told her, oh, I'm a travel agent, but then I redirected the message back to her, asked her a question. The next response was, oh my gosh, I'm planning this multi-generational trip next year. There's about 14 of them. Can you help us? We really need your help. I was like, what? Yes, I
You're
can.
like, yes, and also, I'm
Yeah,
scared.
absolutely. But yeah, the fear was there, but I'm like, yeah, I could do it. I was confident in work. I knew I could deliver. It was
Yeah.
just the reaching out and the sales and the creating relationship was weird to me. So yeah, that next day, my first paid client, I'm like, this shit really worked. Like it
Isn't that the
happened.
best?
I could do this. So yeah, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
my first client. But to get behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge learning curve. So yes, I got my first client. It happened fast. It was actually ended up converting into $2,000, like my first actual paid sale. That was great. They gave me 2,000, my first client. This is awesome. But I learned so much. I overextended. It brought a lot of self-worthiness up. It brought a lot of abandonment issues up. And that's when all the self-sabotage started coming in, even though
Mhm.
I started attracting more clients. One thing, if you want to go through a spiritual journey, definitely get into entrepreneurship because
Yeah.
all the things started coming. I'm like, where are these thoughts coming from? I started lacking confidence in myself because things weren't going my way. Even though I knew I could deliver at the end of the day, they had a great trip because that client has sent me referrals. I'm working with her actually again today on a whole nother trip. But I set such high standards myself, and I was such this perfectionist. I was like, it can be better. It can be better. I'm
Mhm.
not doing enough. She's not gonna those thoughts were coming. I'm like, why are they coming in my mind? Um, so then I'm like, I felt like I was creating resistance to bring in more clients because I had 5 at a time at one time. I was like, this is so overwhelming. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how I was gonna build a sustainable business. I was getting way too much in my head. And I was like, okay, I felt the pull to hire someone for spiritual work. And that's when I went into healing. That was a game changer,
Yes.
completely new to me.
Yes. So
um,
good.
yeah. So I hired someone for the healing, and we started doing a lot more internal work, and we really got into the feminine energetics of things. So I was still in my masculine the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's not the place I wanted to be in at all. So I had no idea what it felt like to just surrender. At least I thought. We already we're born with the kid. We know what surrender is, but as we get conditioned in our life, it's we lose touch of it. And I was like, surrender, what is that? I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. What do
Yeah,
you
you have to relearn these things, 100%. Yeah.
exactly what it is? So it was a lot of relearning. So as I started tapping into my feminine, I started leaning too much into my feminine. So I was like, oh, you're telling me I could just kind of work less and not overextend myself? I'm like, that sounds fabulous. I want that. So I got way too much in my feminine. And next thing I when a couple months, I didn't bring in any new clients. I was creating resistance. I was still trying to navigate the masculine and the feminine, creating that harmony. I didn't know what that looked like. And
Mhm.
one thing I learned is my feminine still needed to feel supported. So even though if you're someone working into your feminine energetics, you still need the masculine. It's not like you just go all feminine,
Mhm.
or all masculine. You got to find that harmony in what works for you. It's
Yeah.
different for everybody. So even till this day, I am still doing my very best with the surrendering. So it's been a year now since I've done the business, and what has shifted for me and what I learned was building that trust is really where the game changes. You got to trust that you're doing the right thing and you're doing the best you can in the now. I noticed I
Yeah.
was either too much in my past or too much in my future because I was so controlling, still in the masculine.
Mhm.
Even
Mhm.
though I thought
Yeah.
I was, going into the feminine, but releasing that control, it is difficult. It is
Yeah.
difficult.
Man, you touched on so many fantastic, like this conversation could go in a lot of different directions right now because you got a lot of good stuff, right? Okay, first off, I think it is so cool that luxury travel like wasn't even on your radar whenever you had, stopped doing retail, you're moving and you're like applying for new jobs. It sounds very similar actually to how I got into branding, where it wasn't on my radar. I actually for a long time told myself that I wasn't even a creative person. So to like now have this be my reality, totally wild. And so I love that for you, it wasn't about you racking your brain. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Got to find a job, right? All these things. You were just like, I'm just going to let it be. And I'm going to really enjoy this happiness that I haven't really felt maybe ever and explore it. And it like when you allowed that expansion to happen, all the good stuff like flooded in and you got this inspiration to start doing this thing that you'd never even done before. Like so cool. I absolutely love that you did that. And that honestly is one of the biggest premises of this podcast is to help people recognize that that's exactly how it happens. You don't have to have years and years of schooling to be able to do a certain job or career. You don't have to already be an expert in something in order to then turn around and monetize it and make money at it. Like you literally just have the moment of desire or inspiration, and then you witness maybe that one glimpse of possibility from somebody else that has done it. And you're like, whoa, light bulb, I can go do the thing too. Like, because that's exactly what happened for me. I started in an MLM. It was exciting because it was something new. And it was the first time I'd really gotten into self development, kind of how you were saying, you got into the healing and all of that. And I started like discovering things about myself, some things that I didn't love, but some things that I was like, whoa, this is cool. And that's why I stuck with it for so long and how it eventually transformed into a full blown branding business that was never on my radar to begin with. Like, I love that that was your journey. And that's the everyday woman. That is the woman who has been conditioned to have the job and be the good girl and do the things that life says you should do. And I'm not saying if that's all you're doing, then that's a bad thing, but understanding that if you have like that little ping to do something differently, like I said in the beginning, go against the status quo and show the fuck up in your life. That looks different for everybody. But if you want to do it, you absolutely can. And like, we're proof.
Yes, we are.
I love that. And okay, so what I think is so interesting too about this conversation is I actually had this preconceived notion that it was going to be slightly different than my other conversations, but why would I think that? Because we're like-minded people. And so whenever you brought the conversation to, who you're being is like what really was the driving force for you getting more clients, retaining the right kind of clients, right? The dream client work, all of that stuff. Like this all goes hand in hand with every single other entrepreneur conversation that I have. So yeah, I think that is such an underlying message to entrepreneurship as a whole. It really is a journey of self-discovery that then you sort of recognize these milestones along the way that you choose to stop and explore a little bit. And that's how you like monetize and make money. And then you get back in the car and you keep going and you keep journeying and exploring. And then you stop for a little bit and you hang out and you make some money. And then you keep journeying. Like that's how I feel about entrepreneurship. It's so crazy. Yeah, this is good. This is good. So I want to actually ask you now that you have gotten into, because how long has it now been? You said a year you've been doing the luxury
Yeah,
business.
a year.
So out of your own travels, I mean, I imagine like how frequently did you travel prior to getting into this work? Was it always something that you were like pretty connected to?
Oh yeah. Ever since I was a little girl, my family always took me on trips, and that's like my passion has just always been there for
Yeah.
travel. Yeah, I've traveled all across the states. I've done road trips. Of course, I've traveled internationally. My last trip was actually Dominican Republic. My
Mm.
partner actually put that together for me, so that was like one of the first times I didn't take control. I went on the planning, the logistics, everything, so it was a little different, but it felt good to receive that. Now, like as I'm a mama to be, I haven't been traveling lately, but I
Yeah.
already I'm going to I'm going actually back to Costa Rica next year, which I'm so excited because one of my partners are hosting me. And then I'm also going to be, it's in the States, but it's in Texas. By the way, I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, and there's this industry event happening in the stadium. And like you had to apply and everything, and they picked me. And I like, honestly, I didn't think they picked me because I was still newer. And usually, like to go into like these events that you have to apply for, usually you have to have like $1 million on travel sales, which I am getting there. It's happening. It's already done.
Yes, it is.
I was chosen, so I'm so excited. So that's gonna be like our first trip. Actually in March, so a couple months in after I give birth, that's gonna be our first road. Well, not
How
road trip. I'm not
exciting.
gonna fly with the baby. I'm looking so forward for that. But yeah,
Oh,
traveling
that's
is
so
a
good.
passion of mine.
Well,
And
I'm
I
in Houston, so if you ever find yourself down in Houston, Texas,
you are
hit me up.
Texas. Yes, yeah. I know I'm gonna have to make it a trip because it's actually my birthday that week too. So I think I'm gonna extend it because I know a few
Nice.
people there. I'm like, I could just make this a really
I mean, Texas is a huge state. It's going to take you a little bit to, get around, but I mean, you could drive like 12 hours and you're still in the state. You're like, what the fuck? Like, what? Yeah,
yeah.
it feels like it just never ends. So with your travel experience and just honestly having the desire, because wouldn't you say it's probably true that someone can be a very successful travel agent and not have gone to the places that they're sending people,
Oh,
right? Like,
and that was self-sabotage in the beginning too, because I felt like a facade. I'm like,
yeah, imposter syndrome at its
yeah,
best.
I traveled a lot, but the the kind of trips that I'm doing, they're on a more elevated level. They're more luxury. It is a lot more expensive than
Yeah.
I'm used to spending. So I did feel like a facade in the beginning. So that's some mindset work that I had to work
Yeah.
into, and the healing helped a lot with that. And that's what really shifted.
Oh man. And honestly, what you do is so necessary for like the sanity and also for the actual experience because I've planned like our own trips that we've taken throughout the years and I get really fixated on the planning. Like I can see how you get really sucked into like controlling every little bit and piece of it because it can be really exciting. Like you're discovering new things personally while you're figuring all of this out for the client too, right? And so I remember like I was putting together a trip to Ecuador for the two of us, and we were going to be there for 3 months. And we were not trying to go as tourists. Like we wanted to just go and live for 3 months, essentially. We weren't working, like, let's be real. But um, if I had a home based business, I for sure would have been. But at the time, I was just corporate only. But I remember going through that experience of like, wondering what is it we're going to do? We don't know the language and all the things. And I can imagine it's a pretty rewarding and exciting experience for you to like look into all of these places and see all of these different cultures and all the things going on. So for you, whenever you kind of do a side by side, what does the luxury travel lifestyle like look like, feel like?
Yeah. So luxury, it's all about the experience. It's all about the little details. And just to touch base on my story, how I mentioned like I was such a perfectionist, is I didn't feel that the entire experience, like from the initial contact with me and the onboarding, it wasn't how I pictured it. I'm like, luxury is like just perfect. It's about the experience from beginning to end. And I was a little messy in the beginning, but that's how it starts in the business. You're learning
Yeah.
along the way. So now I have this amazing onboarding system that makes it seamless for you to understand like what it's like to work with me, what's the journey going to look like, and I'm there for you every step of the way. And as far as the experience in the country, oh my gosh, it's you feel like you're supposed to be there in that moment because it is completely tailor designed to you. I look at every little detail, I craft everything to your desires. It's not oh, let me just go search for a budget trip and just see what packages they got out there. I am
Yeah.
tailoring everything to you. The hotel, you're treated like a VIP. They know they're coming. I'm not just going on a booking system. Like I am working directly with the general managers, the district sales, even CEOs of these hotels. Like I have direct contact. They know
Yes.
you're coming. So you're like a celebrity when you go. So you just feel like I'm supposed to be here. Like this is for me. So it is a completely different experience than just going and like on like Expedia and booking a trip yourself. It's also the quality. Like I till this day have 100% like no tours have canceled on my clients. My clients rave because like the pickups are always on time. They're always there, which sometimes, you know, it's if you go and book and all I like to say is you get what you pay for.
That's true.
So if you go and you're like, well, I could get a car rental service for $30. Why are you charging me 100? And like in the beginning, I was still right getting those clients that quote unquote were like cheap and looking at it from price as opposed to value. I'm like, okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. If you want to book the car rental service on your own, go ahead. But I cannot guarantee you they're not going to cancel. And because if I'm not booking it, I will not be there to support you if they do cancel. Where
Yeah.
me, again, 100%, no one's canceled. Everything's on time. And
So
things
good.
happen. Like I'm still there. Like I offer like 24/7 assistance in the country. You won't be calling me at 4 a.m. I set those boundaries up, but I do have partners in the country you're visiting to support you along the way if anything happens. They'll be there.
Amazing.
They'll just treat you like straight love. Very hospital people. A part of what I do, like I have connections globally. Like I'm literally on WhatsApp and Zoom talking from people all across the world. And I just
So
love,
cool.
like that's the best way just to learn and connect. So I'm talking to a local there. They know what it's like to be there. They understand their country. And it's just so fun to connect with people all across the world.
Oh man, so cool. So what are some of the like most awesome trips that you've put together for some clients recently?
I
Like the
honestly,
ones where you're like, I would go on that trip. Like that looks amazing.
everyone gets better and better. Like
I know.
I don't have a best one because everyone it's like a masterpiece. Everyone I'm like, wow, I did that. So like one I'm working right now is a holiday trip in London. I know it's pretty close. We're kind of pretty close. I usually like to have the holiday trips. I like to say plan those 90 days in advance, but sometimes hey, things happen. Like I get it. I'm still
Yeah.
gonna be there for you to make sure you have an amazing holiday. So like right now I'm planning like this Cinderella moment for my client. She's literally going to be in a horse and carriage traveling around London. It's like I'm making
So
that
cool.
come true for someone. Like, how cool is that? And then I really love the multi destination trips. So next year, I'm actually working on a trip for a client. They're going to London. They're going to Scotland. They're going to Amsterdam, and they're going to Ireland. And they're like really bougie. They're like, we're all about experience, we're all about value. They're like, we don't really have a budget. And I was like, oh my God, dream clients, yes.
Yes.
Because with travel, I believe anything is possible. It's limitless. And when you
Yeah.
obviously I need to work with a budget because I gotta, because if you come with me like I don't have a budget, like I'm going all out because it's funny. I actually just posted this quote, but it's by Coco Chanel. She goes, "The best thing in life are free. The second best is really expensive," which I agree with so much.
Good.
So if I'm planning a trip and you come and be like, "I don't have a budget," it's going to be really expensive, but it's also going to be really amazing.
Yes.
So
Oh man.
they really love like Chef's Table. Um, like I don't know if you're familiar with like the Wagyu. It's like very high quality meat,
Yeah.
but they're gonna have like this 5-star Michelin chef's gonna come out and they're gonna cook them this, and they're just gonna be like on this amazing golf course, and it's gonna be served to them just how they like it. These
I
most
love it.
magical experience with the greatest views. One of them, she's like, I love painting, so I'm setting up this experience where she's gonna be able to sit on the golf course and just paint a beautiful canvas, like just really
So
tailored
good.
client. Like
Uh,
I like
Honestly, and that's I
I
think that's
love because it's different and it's just tailored to them. Maybe I wouldn't do that, but I love it for them.
well, and that's the thing. I think that's so important that is bringing you the success and is bringing you like this fulfillment and joy too is you're not trying to cookie cutter an experience for somebody based on something that you know works. You're literally creating something out of nothing that nobody else has ever experienced before because it's 100% uniquely based on this person's like desires and dreams and wild hair up their ass kind of like ideas. And you're like, let's make it happen.
That's
That's
why
so
it's
cool.
different for each person. That's why I'm like, I don't have a favorite one. I just
Yeah. Hey, that's a good answer too. So I actually do want to touch on, you mentioned it briefly, but this is something that I remember because we have a mutual person in common, and that's how I got to witness one of your experiences was watching her Facebook stories. If you guys know Cynthia Stant, Mikayla booked her Croatia trip and did all of that, for her and her family. And it was incredible. Like to see that unfold and watching it on social. And I was like, damn, Mikayla has got her shit together. This is awesome. Like seeing all the experiences. And so I actually wanted to have you explain a little bit what that ultimate client experience is that you briefly kind of mentioned with the onboarding and like how you do that. Cause I think that's really important to recognize is it's not just about the actual vacation experience that you're creating for them, but it's the experience of working with you and how you remove a lot of the stress from that too. So what does that sort of the ultimate client experience really look like from kind of, start to finish in a nutshell?
Yeah, let me try to sum it up.
I know, right?
So in the beginning, it's really getting to know the client. That's where the magic is. So I have this process where you come in and you fill out like a very detailed questionnaire, and I really get into like what's your travel vibe, like what are your pet peeves. Tell me about experience that you loved before, like what would make this dream trip just incredible, like extraordinary. So I kind of like set them up to the vision in the beginning, and I tell them like dream big, nothing's off limits.
Yes.
Nothing at all. So I like to set up that excitement in that beginning. That way they're not thinking about all the logistics and all the things that still need to get done. I learned to like you mentioned this too, that planning a trip is fun and you could get caught in the nitty details. And I notice like a lot of clients, I feel they're new to working with a travel agent and they still are learning how to let go of the control when planning a
Yeah,
trip.
that's a
So
big thing.
that's been huge in the onboarding because yes, like I handle everything, the booking, the researching, the recommendations, all the restaurant reservation. Like I literally do everything for you. But I also say too, like, hey, I know it's exciting. I know you want to go and do some research. So if you go on like Instagram and something fun comes your way, send it over to me. Like think of me as like one of like your business besties or your best friend that just knows all the go-to travel places. Like it's like that. I don't want you to think like I'm just someone who's working for you. Like I'm your friend in the process, and I love to build authentic relationships. So like a lot of my clients, they come from social media, and I love connecting with them, and I get to know them too through what they're posting in their profiles as well, and like we're engaging on each other's stuff. So it really is about just the relationship, authentic connection, and just getting to know my client in the beginning during that onboarding process. And then we also hop on a vacation called So After, which is like one of my favorite parts because I dive down deeper into your desires and you can ask me all the questions you want. And then I get into building your trip. You get to lay back, make money, spend time with your family, do whatever you want to do while your trip unfolds beautifully. You get
Oh
sent
man.
magic.
Yeah, it is like magic. And that's why I can feel like how incredibly important this is for people that want to really truly experience travel. Because how many people do you know that probably say we're going to take a family vacation, do a big blowout family vacation once a year. Leading up to that vacation, they're stressed as hell. They're like yelling at everybody, to don't overpack or you didn't pack enough or whatever. Like it's all the stupid shit that like doesn't actually matter in the whole of the experience. So it's like leading up to it, lots of stress. While you're there, lots of stress. When you get home, you're overtired and you need a vacation from your vacation. Like how many people listening to this right now are probably like, oh yeah, that sounds like my vacation. Like
Yeah,
stress, tired.
yeah, and that's why too. Like I, I my dream client, if she's a female, usually females are the ones planning the trips. And even though, yeah, they have a lot of say in it, again, that stress comes in because they're responsible for everything and they want everyone to be
Yeah.
happy, and they end up sacrificing their happiness in making everyone else happy. So I take that away. Like, give it all to me. You get to be
Yeah.
happy too. You can have it all.
Yes. Oh man, I love that so much. And I love that you start the journey too with like setting the stage and building that vision and just letting them play with it. And I do the same thing with my branding work and my clients. A lot of times people will come to me and the first thing they're starting to, throw at me is like the colors they want to use and the fonts they want to use. I'm like, hold up, like that
Yeah.
shit doesn't matter right now. Like we need to talk about some other things first. And I'm sure you do the same thing. People are like, I want to go to Spain. And you're like, hold on, let's talk about this. Cause after we talk, Spain might not be your place. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. And then too, they start to get into the nitty gritty too, like during the concert. I'm like, that comes after. Like, don't worry about that. You're getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? That's all I need to know right now. Trust me.
Yeah. And that's hard for people, especially women, to verbalize
Mhm.
what do I want? That doesn't have to do with what do I want because my family wants it or whatever, and it's not like we're negating the family or anything like that, especially if they're part of the trip. But like it really has to start with like, what do you want this to feel like during every aspect of it? Like nobody's going to say, oh, I want it to feel stressful at some point because then I know it's working. Like nobody says that. So that it's like, okay, let me, like you said, let me take that for you and take that off your shoulders. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And it's awesome. I love that you built that into, what you do, having that ultimate client experience. I think it makes the actual experience itself that much more like impactful.
Yeah, and it's luxury. It's a brand promise beginning to end. If you look at like all
Yes.
the luxury brands, like you're gonna get that quality. You're gonna get that value from as soon like let's say like I keep bringing up Chanel. As soon as you walk in the store, you already know what you're gonna get. You just feel that
Mhm.
energy. It feels good from every step of the way. So that's what I like to create. Like that's the brand promise that I create from beginning to end. You're supported. You're gonna feel like VIP. It's going to be luxurious.
Yes. Yeah. And luxury can mean different things. Like I think it's one of those words that carries a pretty heavy connotation for what people think it means. And it can mean something different to everybody, just like the word wealth, money, success. Like luxury can mean different things for different people. And I had a conversation actually with her name's Elva Lee, and she is a branding consultant out of Australia. And her brand is all around luxury branding. But her message is like it's a luxury frequency, it's a feeling, it is a knowingness that you are worthy of whatever your desires are.
Yeah.
And she really taps into the whole like, Gucci, Chanel, like all of those things, but utilizes them as kind of like how you've been doing in this episode as sort of these benchmarks of like, it's not about the fact that the brand might be expensive, but it's about the essence, the sort of frequency, the vibration that this brand has created, that when you say just the brand name, all of these other things fall into place, assuming the vision of luxury. And like, that's just, it's so cool to really see it that way and remove the, like preconceived notions, I guess, of what luxury, is for a lot of people.
Yeah. And if my definition of luxury is a choice. That's why in the very beginning, I'm like, I like to say define your luxury. Because like you said, it looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Cause someone might come to you and say, yeah, but I don't know if we're a good fit because like, luxury for me isn't swanky hotels. And you're like, no, it's whatever choice you
what do
choose
you
to make
want?
luxury. Yeah.
But I would say, what do you want? It doesn't have to be like the Ritz Carltons and the Four Seasons. I
No.
actually I don't really book much of those. It's more of the boutique hotels that
Mm,
even though they are my partners, if anyone listening, if that's your vibe, I got you with that too. But it's
yeah.
I literally could book any experience. Yeah, define your luxury. What do you want?
So cool. Well, I might have to have a conversation with you because I've had some ideas on my mind about travel that like I swear one day, someday soon, probably, I will be traveling like more frequently than I will be home. And not necessarily in the sense like the way I kind of see it is like once a quarter, I just go live somewhere new, me and my husband and my dog. We just go live somewhere new for like 3 months. We establish ourselves for, a little while, get into a little bit of a routine. We work from home. And then we pick up and we go somewhere else for like a whole new season. Like that's my dream.
That's amazing.
But the spin-off vacations and stuff, like for me, luxury is more like uh, a super cool tree house in like Costa Rica, or one of those huts that's like out in the middle of the ocean in Fiji or something. Like
That actually
that's my style.
dined. I didn't stay in a treehouse, but I dined in a treehouse in Costa Rica. It was, I
Ooh,
can't remember the name of it, but it was so fun. Yeah,
so
like for
cool.
me, I like to experience everything. Like I can stay in a treehouse right in the middle of literally nowhere in nature, which I love. But I also love to like my oceanfront balcony rooms as well. Like I'm a mixture.
Yeah. Well, it's whatever vibe you're in. It's like when people ask me what is like my favorite type of music, I'm like, well, it depends what mood I'm in. Like I could literally listen to anything. Same with vacations for me. Like it really just depends on where I'm at, like, in space and time. So I want to ask you what is, because entrepreneurship is an ever evolving and an ever growing thing, right? So what you're doing right now today is probably morphing into something, just even 1 degree slightly different. So what's coming up next for you, as in like, what are you looking forward to creating next, or sort of, have something on your calendar where like, ooh, that's the next thing, I'm going for that. And not necessarily the masculine energy, but just something that we can like be on the journey with you.
Yeah. So for me, I'm really getting into the visibility of my brand, like getting it known. Like it's
Yes.
my brand is, I consider it's a lifestyle. That's why I consider myself like a luxury travel and lifestyle consultant, because traveling to me is a lifestyle. So it's also like getting into the embodiment and creating that vision for myself. So I haven't, you asked me about like my travels. I haven't been traveling recently, but I'm already planning my 20. I already have an international and a state trip like already in the books, and I'm going to be planning more. So I am going to be traveling a lot more, sharing my lifestyle on social media a lot more as well, creating that visibility, really getting my name and my brand out there. And yeah, it's gonna be a movement, a very powerful movement. And
Yes.
what has shifted for me too is, and I know you're into this as well because we've literally been to the same events twice already this year,
Yes.
in person, connecting and really establishing relationships in person. So not just being known online, but being known offline as well. But what really I really love the feeling like the last event I went to. So I'm attending like the same event. I'm seeing the same people at the events I'm attending to, and I don't believe in coincidences. And this one lady who I've known online, she goes, "Oh my God, I want you to meet someone." And she introduced me to her friend. She's like, "This is the luxury travel agent." And I was like, "Oh, I like the way that felt. Like I'm not used to that visibility of
Yes.
really knowing who I am, what I do." So I own that. I felt so good in that moment. I'm like, "This is what I want." I was like, "I want more of this."
Yes, Annie. Yes, I am.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I'm working on the visibility and really just owning my authority and getting out there both offline and online as well.
yeah. And it seriously is already happening. And there is something very magical about being in person, and the fact that you want more of that. It's just going to make it so incredibly impactful when you get those opportunities to be in person, because you really have such fantastic energy. Like being able to be in your presence twice in 2023, and the first time actually we didn't even really get to like connect because there's so many people at the event. But when I saw you, and I'd only ever briefly seen you online, right? And I saw you and I was like, that's Mikayla. I know, like, I could just sense your energy, and you just have this really incredible, like, aura about you. And I don't know, I don't even know if that's the right word because I don't read auras or anything, but you have such this calmness and like power. And yeah, and you are the luxury travel agent. Like,
I am.
claim that. Yes.
Yes.
I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for, your new little bundle of joy that's about to be here so super soon at the time of this recording. And just all the things that life is bringing you, that you're creating. Like, it's really beautiful to see. So I'm so happy that you're here to share it with us.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm so just grateful for this opportunity. Like I have been excited, like day by I haven't stopped thinking about it since you reached out. You want to be on my podcast? I'm like, heck yeah, I want to be on your podcast.
Yes. Well, see,
I'm
and that's
just
the
so grateful.
visibility, right?
Yeah,
You're do
yeah.
more of this.
I'm embodying it. I'm doing the
Yeah.
work.
Yes, do more of this. And by all means, like, I'm happy to do the same for you and your community. Like, this is the really what lights me up the most is collaboration, connecting. Yes, of course, we get into each other's networks by doing this, but that's not what it's about. It's about the like uplifting and providing a platform and having a really fucking great conversation. Like, if I must say so myself.
Yeah.
Um,
But I don't want to drag it out.
yeah, no, I know, right?
This is
Well, what we might be doing then is maybe we just schedule another podcast to do, in another couple months. And by then you'll have your new baby and we'll have some new life things that we can talk about. But in the meantime, I'm going to add to the show notes for you guys links to go and get connected with Mikayla, because if you have any travel desires of any kind, which you're lying to yourself if you don't, because everybody I've ever met wants to travel.
the same.
But she's totally like, her inbox is open. So we're going to drop the links for you guys in the show notes. Be sure to get connected with her. I know that I sure as hell am, because you guys just heard me claim what my travel plans are.
I'm holding you accountable.
I know, right? Anything you want to leave us with before we sign off?
I just want to say, go out there and do what you want. Do what you want. Define your luxury, not just in travel, but in your life. It's all about life as a whole, and not just going on a vacation just to get away. It's a whole lifestyle. To me, like the biggest flex is creating a life where you love every day, and you're not just scheduling a vacation because you want to escape the life that you've created.
Good point. Oh my gosh. Mic drop on that. Yeah. Oh man, on that note, yeah, that is exactly right. Create the life that you don't have to escape from. Like that is where it's at 100%. Mikayla, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. All right, you guys go check out the show notes, and until next time, we'll see you. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review, and for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.